let's move on to our fourth race, the Kleimens. All right.
The reason why you can't be less than 5 feet.
Yeah, the reason why you can be less than 5 feet as a human, right? So the Kleimens are our equivalent of like a halfling, gnome,
Dwarf.
and a dwarf all
Yeah.
bashed into one. Goblins as well. So you can think of Kleimen as an overall umbrella for the short races of Chorinthia. Depending on where they're from, they take on the different features, and then they are generally all short, right? They're all 4 feet and below. Some are slightly taller, some are less tall. We'll go through some of them that are taller later, right? And so they are diminutive yet indomitable race, right? Their short, rotund frames and their pointed ears are lending them to a deceptively childish-looking appearance. But they are also the longest living race in Chorinthia. Physically, they mature at 20 years old. Emotionally, they mature at 50 years old. And they can live well past 200. The exact age in which they die, not sure. I mean, it's not that we're not sure, but the world does not know, right? The world within Chorinthia is not sure. We know, right? And they only begin to start looking older at 150 and above. So if you see an old Kleimen, he's 150 and above, right?
At least.
Yes, at least,
Yeah.
at least. But they also take on a more relaxed outlook on life in the sense that, there's time for these things. They also tend to hyperfixate onto smaller things, right? Which we'll get into that. Culturally, the Kleimens, they have like a singular focus in life that can be a trade, it can be a field, it can be something, right? They usually have some kind of a focus in life. And this is known as their life's masterwork. They pursue this goal with like an obsession, and they will because they're so obsessed about it, right? They typically look down upon the other races in which or not even just the other races, even their own fellow Kleimens, they may look down upon them if they have a different outlook on that work and that industriousness and that hard work, right? So they don't like, generally they don't like lazy people. Size-wise, they're 3 feet to 4 feet tall, and they weigh roughly 50 pounds, right? So that's like 25 kilos. 4 feet would be like 120 cm-ish to like 90 cm, roughly. This is the first race where you have a small size. However, you still count as medium when attempting to knock back a creature. There are many knockback effects within the combat system in which you are not allowed to knock back a creature which is more than one size larger than you. So if you're medium, you can only knock back up to large, and then you can't knock back huge, right? So as a Kleimen, you still count as medium, but then you are small, right? So there's some implications here, right? Your base movement speed is 25, and so that's 5 feet less than everybody else because your legs are short. And then your languages, you can speak, read, and write Common and Kleimish. So Kleimish is kind of like a crude, like dwarvish kind of traditionally dwarvish in the normal fantasy, like dwarvish style kind of writing. A lot of technical manuals are written in Kleimish, but there is no magical tomes written in Kleimish. So that's something that's kind of like a cultural aspect of the Kleimens, which is that they don't like spellcasters. It's not that they don't like actual magic itself. They don't like spellcasters. They think it's lazy, right? So there's like an aspect of like, we work hard, we forge this thing, we do all this stuff, we craft all these things, and then you're casting magic over there. That's lazy, right? So there's that aspect of it, but of course not all Kleimens, right? So what are some of the implications of being a small race that you're playable?
So, as a small creature,
yeah, you are a small creature. Yes.
Is creature the correct? It's like, it's a term. It's the term, correct? So as a small creature, you can there's certain interaction that you have. So like there might be things. So we have not went through this exactly, but mounting. You can only mount something that is like one size small,
larger
than you. Yeah, correct. Which, if you think about compared the mediums that we have went through, the wolf, specifically the wolf that we actually shown, that was a medium creature.
Yep.
Right. So what that can lead up to is that as a Kleimen, because you are small, you could actually ride your wolf into combat.
Yep.
Which brings up a bit of the tactical stuff, right? Because we have showcased all the medium skills, right? So a bit of like skip forward here will be like, you can maybe attack and then like you will attack and then the wolves will attack. And because you're on him, then it's like you are counted as like together.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. So while you're mounting, you possess the same square
Mm.
on or position within a battlefield,
Mm.
right? And just with the masteries that we have already reviewed, right? So you can imagine like, oh, you could be a claimant who rides a wolf, maybe he's holding a bow, and then your wolf is running around, and then you're shooting things, or maybe you're like riding a cat bear, and then you have like a sword in hand, right? And you're both going and you're slashing, and the cat bear is slashing and stuff like that, right? So these are things that are only possible currently. Straight out of the bat, right? Like you don't have to buy a horse or anything, you don't have to buy a beast or any mount, right? You can do this right out of the bat as a claimant, only as a claimant. So this is kind of like a tactical advantage that you get specifically for being small, but you pay for it with 5 feet of movement, which is this adds up because you move a lot in AoA, right?
It's a bit of a hidden surprise thing, but if you play as a claimant during the campaign, you actually get something bonus. This
Right.
we will 100% not say at all, but
Yep,
this is
yep.
this is the maximum that we will say, which is you get a nice surprise.
Yes.
Yeah, as a claimant.
Yes.
Yeah, specifically.
Yep.
Yeah, so when the set comes out, you can try it lah.
Yeah, so you can pay attention to that. Look out for it. All right, so let's get on to the subraces. Right, so the subraces for claimants are Isenforge and the Vrostvein. So these are dependent on where the claimants have chosen to basically suffer, right? Because claimants they're small and they live very long, so they're going to struggle no matter where they go, like whichever environment they're at, like your jungle trees too tall, mountains, whatever, caves and all this stuff. Wherever they have chosen to forge their base and like strangle and wrangle the environments to fit their beings, right? They have adapted to these locations. And a lot of these things are also in line with the type of pursuit that a claimant might have. We'll get into that later. So that one will be the specific subrace already. But these type of communities also lead towards like a meritocratic society. These general claimant communities, they look towards people who they contribute greatly to their community based on their masterworks, and they are like things like smithing, creating machineries, alchemy and stuff like that. So the more they contribute, then the other claimants look upon them and they're like, yeah, that's great, all right, like you are ups because you contribute a lot of your
model citizen.
Yes, you're a model citizen, right? Your meritocracy, yes. Singapore. All right. So the two subraces that are most commonly found in the Thundersteps are the Vrostvein Claimants and the Isenforge Claimants, right? So the Vrostvein Claimants are because they're just north of the Thundersteps, the Thundersteps. On the map that was provided inside the basic set, you can see that on the map itself. The Isenforge are a little bit further, but because generally a lot of the Isenforge Claimants are blacksmiths and miners, they travel a lot, right? So let's take a look at the Isenforge. They come from the iron-rich volcanoes of Keldrut. This is in western Chorinthia. This is like far west. It's off the map. Many of them are blacksmiths, craftsmen, and miners because they are in a volcanic area. The heat there is really good for them, and it's also a mountainous region. So this has allowed them to pursue all of their what do you call that?
Life goal.
Yeah, basically their life goals, right? Their masterworks in crafting and creating all kinds of mechanical machineries and stuff like that. Yes, machineries exist, right? They have a cultural disdain for laziness when it comes to physical labor. It's okay if you're not smart, you're not talented or whatnot, but if you're physically lazy, these guys hate you, right? Because they are working really hard themselves, right? They are mining, they are smithing. Like, it's a very physical, laborious thing. So you might also find that they are a bit more slender compared to the other claimants, right? And they're also taller. So they have long pointed ears. Their ears are typically like singed depending on where they're from. Their skin is bronze, grey, or ivory from the heat and from their location. Their hair tends towards like metallic or dark earthen kind of colors. This is it's kind of like a result of just blending into the environment to avoid the other larger monsters in that region. And then their eyes are red, hazel, amber, and grey. Isenforge Kleimen are slightly taller, right? So when I say slightly taller, they're like 120 cm, right? And the other Kleimens will be like 110, 100, right? So they're on the higher end of the 4 feet, and then the rest are on the lower end of the 4 feet to 3 feet. So they're all a little bit bigger. Moving on from that, we go to the Vrostvein guys. So Vrostvein guys are they're from the tundras, right? So you can think of this as like the Viking equivalents, the Nords, the Nordic style kind of thing, right? And these guys have, now as to why they have chosen the North for survival, I'll leave that story for another day, but they have chosen the North for their survival, right? And traditions of like survival and resilience and the drive for like technological improvements, right, were born out of necessity to survive in this North. So they typically live in the mountainous regions within the North. So if you're familiar with like dwarves in World of Warcraft, stuff like that, right? So these are dwarves who live in the mountains. Now, whether there are volcanoes inside, different story, right? They are more like Nordic dwarves, yes, but in the less volcanic sense.
Viking dwarves.
Yeah, Viking dwarves, yes. Right. So most adventuring claimants, right, and scientists, Vrostvein claimants who have left their cold lands for literally greener pastures, right? Because it's really cold there, they don't want to stay there. But because of their culture and their heritage and a history, they have decided to generally form a society there, right? So physically, their noses are slightly upturned. Their ears are much shorter because in the cold, it might break. And then they have skin that is pale white. The pink, the flush shows through their skin often. Their hair is usually white, brown, red, or blonde, and their eyes are blue, green, black, purple. There's quite a wide range of colors for the Vrostvein claimants, right? So most of the features that you might find in your traditional Nordic country, your Viking countries, these are things that might be visible within these races. What about their racial skills?
For their racial skills,
I use tenacious soul.
So their racial skills are a bit more tenacious.
They're both passive.
They're both
they're
passive
both
also,
passive,
so
yeah.
they're a bit less maintenance heavy in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going to it, so they have two skills. One is Kleimen Fortitude and the other is Tenacious Soul. So the one we are showing is Tenacious Soul, which is both is passive, yeah. It's a Kleimen skill, Glacier. SP cost is hyphen because it's a passive.
It's a passive, yeah.
Kleimen requires to be Kleimen, and the cost is 1. Right. So what is it? So it's actually when you fail a challenge, you gain an advantage on the next challenge with the same attribute.
Yep.
So what does that mean? So this can happen in combat as well, right? So for example, in combat, right, let's say like you do a saving throw, and the saving throw that you initially use, right, is like, for example, Dex, correct? So that was your chosen attribute to roll for, and somehow you fail. Correct. So the next time you have to do a Dex saving throw, you instead gain an advantage. Right? So this means, just to refresh again, this means you roll an additional d6 and you take the 2 highest. Yeah. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward.
Yeah. In a sense, you can think about this as a claimant have a higher floor. So when because they're short, right? So when they fail something, they have a chance to the next time they try it again, they're like sore losers, like they don't want to lose again. So they get an advantage on this. Right. So they get additional dice that just helps them to, succeed a little bit better. Right. Does this continue to stack? Yes, it does. Right. So if you keep failing it, then you're more likely to succeed at the end of the day. Right.
Somehow, one way or another, you will succeed.
One way or another, your tenacious ass is gonna win. Right. So it's a tenacious soul.
So the example that I use, right, is actually in combat, but what happens if you're doing a roleplay scenario? This means you might be able to haggle the person down to like 1 goal.
Yeah. Of course, like when it comes to those kind of situations, if your game master chooses like, no means no, then okay, you stop there. But that doesn't mean that your debuff, your
it carries over to the next.
So like your character, your claimant is gonna be like, okay, I failed to haggle this guy, right? The next time I'm gonna haggle someone, I'm gonna haggle like double down immediately. Right? So you go to the next challenge of the same role immediately with advantage. Right? So you can kind of think about this as like these guys are persistent and they're annoying and they refuse to lose. They just want their way, That's the kind of...
The other way you can see is also, right, for example, if they visit a marketplace, they will just keep failing consistently until somehow they get it right.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Right. Something like that. So that is like the whole like design aspect of this particular skill, is to reflect like how bad of a sore loser they are in that sense. Yeah.
So you can think about this as this is a reflective of their culture,
Mm.
right? So these passives are both the Kleimen passives are more reflective of their behavior and cultures compared to the other races. The other races still, of course, they do, right? But it's a lot more of a physical aspect. Whereas this one talks more about their personality as a race.
Their mental fortitude in that sense. Yeah.
So they are really sore losers, and the Claimish Fortitude one, well, I'll leave it at that, right?
That's also a fun one, actually.
Yeah, there's some potential things you can do, but generally they will lead you to play more like if you take full advantage of the ratios, you will naturally play more like a Kleimen within the world of Chorinthia. Right? And that is one of the goals of the ratios, right?
Yep.
Like these are things that we want that promote the gameplay of it's like a ludonarrative kind of like mechanic.
In that sense, it's actually it has a similar aspect to like the weapon mastery stuff, where it actually leans in a lot into like the specific types of things that we are trying to like
encourage,
stuff like that.